Live from Utah's Wasatch Front, the pulse of the Mountain West, where the issues that shape your life meet the truth that sets you free. Across Utah, across the Republic, and around the world, welcome. This is KMMU.
Hey everybody, it is your host Goud, and welcome to the Goud Crowd. I am trying to pin this on my profile, but I actually can't find it in my feed. So I don't know why it's not letting me do that. Do you know what that's about, Mr. Producer? It's very weird. Uh-oh, did it go away? No, it looks like we're live. Okay. Anyway, we got a show today. I will just tell you guys, I was originally going to have on Sarah Pontes, but I guess she can't come on anymore. Yeah, it's all good though. So we're going to talk through what happened. Oh, hey, Mr. Producer.
Everything seems to be working just fine. You go, keep right on going.
Okay. Yeah, it's showing up that I'm live on my X. I don't see the video, so I'm not sure.
Well, I've been having trouble with X. I think I have to reset all of the X connections is what I have to do. Because it comes and goes. You go there and you can see the live while it's live, but it's not storing them. Okay. And I understand that there's some kind of a glitch with Restream. So I'm going to reset all of those and see if I can't make it work.
Okay. Well, that's fine. Okay, let me. Okay. Anyway, we're gonna talk. We're gonna talk about what happened at the County Central Committee meeting for the Salt Lake County GOP this Saturday, and kind of where this is all going. So, let's go ahead and start. And just as a little background, though, for those of you who listen, you already know this, but there were 8 members in various positions in the Salt Lake County GOP. So some of them were in appointed positions, some of them were in elected positions. All 8 of these people sent out a letter to various local government officials asking them to, I guess, investigate and prosecute the Salt Lake County GOP Executive Committee for trying to endorse candidates in nonpartisan races. Now, I want to just start by saying this. I think that the reading of the law in that letter is incorrect. However, I also think that we don't want to discourage people from coming forward if they think laws are being broken, because Utah has a real problem where the culture itself is kind of a little bit insular. I think people that are LDS, and I have all my neighbors are LDS, many of my friends are LDS, and a lot of times they're wonderful people. They're very honest. They wouldn't break the law and stuff like that. But what happens is they take their personal honesty and they project it onto other people who are not honest, because they're also LDS. So for example, in the 2024 election, Lieutenant Governor Henderson, who claims to be LDS, I don't actually think she is, and actually cheated and stole the 2024 GOP primary. And she did it because her and Governor Cox hired a company to go and gather signatures for them. They needed 28,000 signatures to get onto the GOP primary ballot, but they did not get them. Their signatures, or their signature petitions, were full of forged signatures. Instead of being forthright about that, they actually lied about it, they covered it up, and they still put themselves on the 24 ballot. Now they ended up winning that primary, but that does not cancel out the fact that they cheated to get on the ballot in the first place. And just a little bit, stepping back one more step, they could not have gotten on that ballot without those 28,000 signatures. You see, because they didn't, the other path to get on the GOP primary ballot was to go through the convention and get at least 40% of the delegate vote. They didn't get that. So their only path to the GOP primary ballot was with the 28,000 signatures collected from GOP primary voters, which they did not get. So, and the problem with the whole thing is we didn't have whistleblowers come forward while they were cheating and stealing that election. Over a year later, we're still trying to, it's almost 2 years now, actually. We're still trying to peel back all the layers of the things that they did to steal that election and to get full transparency on the steal. I will just say, I've had people tell me, hey, Goud, you guys should just move on. Okay, like we just need to win elections in 2026. Yeah, in the fall, right? We just need to win elections. We need to focus on that. And my view is like, we're not doing that. The reality is we need to hold people accountable when they do wrongdoing. And we need to have full transparency on the cheat and the steal. And until we get that, we're not stopping. We're going to continue to fight this fight until we have 100% transparency on every aspect of what was done to steal the 2024 GOP primary. And it's really important because if they can do that and get away with it, there's all sorts of stuff they can do. And it's happening, by the way. Like we have a very opaque government. We're not getting full information about what's going on. And the cheating that happened in the 24 GOP primary was so blatant that it indicates that there's probably bigger problems in our government generally. We need whistleblowers to come forward. In the case of Michael Clara's grandma request, the only reason we had any sort of breakthrough is because a whistleblower from the Attorney General's office actually came forward and produced to us a copy of a report that was responsive to a grandma request that Michael Clara had been making. Had that not happened, we would never have had a breakthrough in the case. And so we need more whistleblowers. We need to be encouraging people to come forward. We need to help our LDS friends and neighbors understand that just because someone's LDS doesn't mean they're a good person. It doesn't mean that they won't commit a crime. It doesn't mean that they're not going to defraud the government. It doesn't mean they're not going to lie to you. You have to, when you see, and so this is the bottom line. When you see something, you need to say something. Okay, we got to get rid of all the corruption and all the fraud. It'll be the downfall of the state. And frankly, if you're a Republican, it's a Republican-run state. It will be the downfall of Republicans controlling the state because the Democrats will be able to make a really great case that Republicans here are corrupt and that they need to be shoved out of office. Okay, so that's kind of my background here. So these 8 people, they go and they make complaints to local authorities, and they did it, if you remember, a couple of women talked about it a few weeks ago. They did it in races where, they sent that letter to cities where they were having these nonpartisan races that the party was thinking about endorsing it. So let me pull up. Now, Mike Carey, he's the Salt Lake County GOP chair, and he put out the results of those trials that they had. So I just wanted to point out a couple of things here I thought that were interesting. Let's see. Here we go. So just to start, the punishments are a little bit, they're kind of all over the place here. So you see, if you look here, Kathy Duke was given a written reprimand. Laurel Fetzer and Debbie Phillips Garrity were censured, and that censure will be posted on the Salt Lake County GOP website. And then they were also removed from all party elected and appointed offices or positions and restricted from holding such through May 1st of 2028. Now I'll just say, I have some issues with the party limiting who people can vote for, right? Because if I go to my caucus on March 17th, I encourage everyone to go, by the way, you should go to your caucus. And I want to elect, let's say, Laurel to be my county delegate, my state delegate, my precinct chair, whatever it is. I don't really think it's right for the party to restrict my ability to do that. That should be, that's my right as a voter to be able to vote for who I want. Then the next tier of this was Kay Sanderson, Natalie Klein, Monica Wilbur, and Casey Gale. they were actually removed from all party elected and appointed offices or positions through May 1st of 2030. So this is actually, I mean, this is 4 years. It's a long time. Then they have a censure to be posted on the Salt Lake County GOP website. For Tracy Halverson, she got kind of the most severe punishment, I would say. So she can't hold any party or appointed offices until May 1st of 2030. So just like the last group, she's barred from all. Oh, and sorry, the last ones are also barred. So Kay, Natalie, Monica, Kay Sanderson, Natalie Klein, Monica Wilbur, Casey Gale, and Tracy Halverson are all barred from attending any party events except caucus through May 1st of 2030. So that is a very long time. And then censures will be posted to the website. For Tracy, I think they had to do a separate entry because she is running for the state Senate seat. I think, is it 19? I can't remember, or 19 or 16. It's Dan McKay's seat. It's actually my Senate district, so I'll get to participate in this election. But the point being here is that there's a lot of the punishments, I would say, that were given out kind of varied a little bit. And then also I went through actually all of the documents that were, or the charging documents is what I'll call them. And there's a couple of things that I thought were notable here. First of all, that Tracy, I thought before that Tracy's punishment was different because of the lawsuit that she filed, and that is what they were concerned about. And I understand that because, like I said, a lot of people have had to spend money on attorneys, and that's not, people don't like that. Obviously, they don't like that. But that wasn't one of the charges. The charge was, in addition to sending this letter to local authorities, she also was, I think, kind of let me think of I don't want to use the wrong word on this. So let's go back. Let me pull this up because I thought it was kind of an interesting. If you're watching, I'm scrolling a little bit here, so that'll be annoying for you. Okay, let's go down to her charging document. Here. Here, I think. Okay, here's what it was. So she had, her second charge was actually a violation of standards of conduct. The first specification was she's made repeated social media posts containing personal attacks, name calling, and derogatory language directed at fellow party members, officers, and delegates. That one worries me a little bit, mainly because elected officials are also party members, and so you could get a complaint from somebody like Amy Winder Newton saying, "Hey, Goud has been attacking me and calling me Fat Amy," but really she deserves it. So if she wants to make that complaint, I'm happy to take it on. Oh, hey, Mr. Producer. We just got something saying there's no stream on X. I don't understand why it's shut up. Oh, no, it's showing up on X. S-bar 10. I'm seeing it on X. I think you have to.
It's showing, but I don't think when the show is done that it's recording. I mean, it's not showing up as a post.
Yeah, it's not showing up as a post. But if you looked at my X handle, my face or my profile photo is lit up live, and if you click on that, it goes into a live video. I am a little bit confused. Mr. Producer's going to figure this out, so we'll figure it out. What's wrong?
Yes, we will get it all squared away. And I've been dealing. I asked Grok about it, and Grok says, "Well, we've been having some trouble." And then I asked the guys at Restream, and they said, "Yeah, we've been having some trouble." And the Restream guys said, "Disconnect and reconnect," which I haven't gotten to yet. Okay, so.
No. Well, do you
we have a
connection?
Something? We have a connection to X, and I mean, yeah. We're sending it to your X. We're sending it to my X. I'm sending it to Rumble and YouTube. Though Rumble and YouTube are working fine. There's something wrong with the X connection. Okay.
Okay, we got to get this fixed.
I know. I hate
Okay.
uploading after I've made the shows, but go ahead. Yes, we know there's problems, and we know it.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, and thank you for reporting them. So, also Esbar 10 says it's Senate District 18. Thank you. Yeah, so Dan McKay is in Senate District 18. So, and we have there's three people running. There's Dan McKay, there's Doug Fifia, and then there's Tracy Halverson. So that'll be an interesting race. You know, I'm excited to hear what everybody says. If I'm a delegate, if I'm not a delegate, I will, do whatever. And although I assume that one or more of them will probably collect signatures, so we'll see how that goes. Melanie Yates says, this is such BS. They silence the strongest people, whistleblowers in our party. This is just about control and retaliation. I mean, look, I don't think, I see your point. This is my point too, is the whistleblower thing really concerns me because, again, we had outright lawbreaking happen in the 24 election. We had a theft of an election. Okay, so, and there's some people that think, oh, it was an accident. There's good faith. There's no good faith. It was a purposeful theft of a primary election by Lieutenant Governor Henderson and Governor Cox. I don't think they're legitimate. And it would have been helpful had there been whistleblowers who came forward when they were doing it. But we didn't have that. And that to me shows a cultural problem that we don't have enough whistleblowers. We need more. And so that's my thing, is this type of an action, even though, like I said, I think their legal analysis was actually wrong, but I don't think a whistleblower has to have the right legal analysis. And certainly people disagree about how you interpret laws. Different even lawyers do. That's why we are always fighting in court and doing things, finding different ways to fight each other, because we can look at the same law and interpret it in a different manner. And so I would not put that expectation on whistleblowers. I think the actual standards should be, did you make a good faith effort? Did you have a good faith view of this, that you actually thought the claim you were making was legitimate? And from what from what our discussions have been with at least the people that I've talked to that are part of the 8, I haven't talked to all 8 of them. I think they had a good faith belief that a criminal law was being violated. And I think that's sufficient then to classify them as a whistleblower, and then to just say, move on from it. But we are where we are. Now let me give you, County Central Committee meeting. Okay, so February 9th, the executive committee removes those 8 members. Then on this Saturday, they had their first central committee meeting. The central committee meeting is all the precinct chairs. I think that's the voting body of the party. And they met. So let's take a look at what happened there, because I think there was some good stuff. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to go because I had drill this weekend. And I have to, I tried to get one of my neighbors to go, and I keep telling my neighbors, if you guys want to be represented, it's probably better to have somebody else be the precinct chair, but no one listens. Okay, hold up. Okay, let me share my screen. So Michael Clara took this video at the Central Committee meeting, and so we'll listen for a little bit here.
The February 9th, 2026 trial. And number 2, that all 8 members are immediately restored.
Mr. Producer, I swear, I'm going to lose my mind on this.
Position and
this is very irritating.
the right they held before that trial with no break in their service.
I don't understand why it's not working.
This motion does not take sides in past disputes.
It's bandwidth.
It simply
But where is the bandwidth issue?
allows
Get yourself a nice Starlink and this will all stop.
trial.
Say it again.
So get yourself a nice Starlink. This will all
And number
stop.
2, that all 8 members are immediately restored.
Can I send this to you? This is really, it's annoying me because I'm like, I just want to be able to play a video without it stopping constantly. I think it's annoying for people listening too.
Send it to me. Put it in the chat. I'll see if I can play it.
All
There
right.
we go.
Okay, I'll stop sharing then. We'll let Mr. Producer pull it up. Basically,
let me see if I can pull it up and play it, and
okay.
It'll take me a minute. Okay.
Okay, I'll keep talking. Okay, so basically, Sarah Dawn Montez, so she's the vice chair of the Salt Lake County GOP. She got up and she made a motion, and I think the motion was to actually restore the 8 people who had been removed by the executive committee. And what you'll see in the video is that she'll make that motion, then the chair. So what's kind of interesting is there are different views in the leadership of the Salt Lake County GOP. I actually think that's a good thing, kind of a team of rivals type concept. So then Mike Carey, who's the party chair, will respond. He'll say, we don't think you can do this. You cannot amend the agenda today because the meeting has not been properly noticed. So then at the end, and we'll play this as well, I think he says that they're going to schedule an emergency meeting to be able to debate and handle this issue. So, there's a little bit of tension, people kind of trying to work their way through this, and hopefully we'll get this video up and we can all watch it. So Melanie Yates says, if you don't act right and agree with them, then they will axe you. I'm a delegate. I'm probably gone soon, LOL. Well, I mean, that is kind of the general fear here, right? I have heard some rumors that some of the other county parties are also doing similar purges. And I think that's the problem with this, right? Is the reality of all of this is the Republican Party is very different from the Democrat Party. So the Democrats, if you notice, they'll criticize us for being a little bit chaotic and having stuff like this happen. But the Republican Party, unlike the Democrat Party, is a grassroots organization. And so it just operates differently. You have a lot of people with different viewpoints, and they'll fight about stuff and things like that. The Democrat Party doesn't have as many fights because it's run from the top down, and they don't really accept any dissent. And so you end up with different results for the two. Okay, Mr. Producer, any luck on this video? Okay, I guess I'll keep talking. Oh, there it is.
It's not coming up on my X either, but hang on a second. Let me tweak it. Okay, I'll be right back to you.
Okay. Thanks. Okay, so then I got a text message today about a message that Mike Carey had sent out. I don't know where this message came from, but somebody sent it. And they said that I think he's not going to do the emergency meeting. So that's kind of interesting, right? I didn't attend the meeting, so I don't really know. All I know is someone sent me this and it said, thank you for attending the quarterly Central Committee meeting this Saturday at Midvale Middle School. After further review of our county bylaws and Robert's Rules of Order, removals. Oh, maybe Producer, you got it?
Well, here's the thing. It's a YouTube video that's being played on X. Okay.
Yeah.
So you
just go to the.
I'm gonna try the YouTube. How's that? Okay.
Okay. Perfect.
I'll be back.
Okay. So then the message says, after further review of the county party bylaws and Robert's Rules of Order, removals for standards of conduct violations are explicitly irreversible for standards of conduct violations, Article 5, Section 3-F-9. For other reasons, like bylaw rules, Robert's Rules of Order, violations of the bylaws provide no path. The bylaws provide no path for the County Central Committee to reverse decisions stemming from authorities granted the Executive Committee. So I think he's not going to have meetings. Basically, that's the end result of that. S-Bar 10 says, yes, I heard that Mike Carey rescinded what he said at the CCM in an email to precinct chairs. Yeah, I think that's right. Like I said, I don't have the. Someone sent me a copy of it. Hey, okay, Laura, just give us a couple minutes here.
This video is 18 minutes long. What part of it do you want to play?
Well, I wanted to play the beginning, And then I wanted to play from, and I'll take the beginning to like a minute. I'll tell you when to stop, and then I'll message you the other two time parts. There are a lot, not the whole video.
Okay, here it comes. Let me pop it up because it's coming through fine on YouTube. Okay.
Oh, perfect. Okay, thank you.
Here it comes, and I've got it stopped, so I'm going to start it and then just say stop.
Okay.
And one of the things we should do is we should have this stuff prepared, and then I can just pop for you. It's like simple. Show me song 12, okay?
Oh yeah, that's what they do on other shows, like clip whatever. Yeah, we should do
it. It's all set up, and then I can just press buttons. This is really my job. Okay, I'm gonna pop, and then I'm gonna start it, and then you can tell me when to stop. Okay.
Okay, perfect. You guys are getting to see all the songs being made live. It's like perfect, right? Okay, I just want you to be able to listen to the meeting because I think it's helpful, especially if you're not currently involved with the party. You get to see how it operates, especially the use of Robert's Rules of Order and kind of how people go back and forth. Here we go. We don't hear any sound.
The February 9th, 2026 trial. And number 2, that all 8 members are immediately restored to every party office, position, and the right they held for that trial with rank in their service. This motion does not take sides in past disputes. It simply allows us to put behind us. Welcome everyone back to work and focus our energy to having a successful caucus this year.
So that was Sarah Montez, the vice chair.
Thank you, Sarah. I know this is an emotional issue for a lot of people, okay? But unfortunately, we cannot entertain this motion today because it requires action on the part of this body. It was not properly noticed. Okay? I would be happy to discuss this. I'd be happy to discuss this after.
This is actually this is business from the last meeting, so it's not out of order.
Okay, so now they're doing a little bit of, I think the parliamentarian, they're talking through their kind of, Mike is probably talking to his parliamentarian, which makes sense. What we could do. What timestamp are we at, Mr. Producer? I can't see it. All right, we can stop now, and then can we move to the next timestamp I gave you? Okay, so now, because I mean the reason I'm having it move is because right now it'll just there's a little debate that goes on the state of that, but we don't hear what they're saying, so it's not. After a little while you hear Michael Clara will talk and narrate, but we just want to get to the meat for the radio show, right? If you want to watch the full video, you can go watch it on X or YouTube. Okay.
Okay, I'm going to pick it up at 16 minutes. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Here you go.
You know, this is ridiculous. So I'm glad that he's having to eat it now.
And we have the free zone.
Okay. To submit a written request. And 40%.
This is annoying, Mr. Producer. I don't know. Like, if it's gonna freeze, I don't see any point. I think I froze. Okay, well, I don't know what to do. I can't tell you how frustrating it is that these videos don't work because, like I said, it's useful to see and understand what they're talking about. Okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and just move on, Mr. Producer, if this will come up. If you can just let it keep catching up, then maybe we can watch it later. We have Laurel Fetzer, so I'll bring her on. Let's see, I'm going to take the video. I think I can do this right. Okay, hey Laurel, how are you?
We're doing good.
Okay, so
I'm doing good. I shouldn't say we. I'll talk about me.
okay. Okay, so last time you came on, you had the trial before the executive committee on February 9th about where you were signing the letter accusing people of, or whatever, or thinking there's a crime being committed. You sign this letter, it gets sent to these cities, right? You're put on trial, and you didn't know what the results were. So have you learned the results?
Yeah, they said I'm guilty on all accounts, and I'm removed from my positions in the Republican Party.
Okay, and maybe how long did they say for you?
So mine was 2028. Somehow I'm a little less than the rest. Maybe it's because I attended my meeting.
Yeah, maybe. It helps. I guess it helps to defend yourself, right?
Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, no explanation besides that I'm guilty, and I was already removed from the website and stuff before I even got my letter. So it's like it was already taken care of. So
okay, and what position did you hold before you were removed from them?
So I'm a secretary in my precinct, and then I'm just the Senate District 14 chair on the executive committee.
Okay. Are either of those positions elected positions?
Yeah, like all the precinct chairs in the Senate district elect me. It's a 2-year position. So, yeah.
Okay. So basically an election was canceled.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there any sort of appeal right from the decision?
It doesn't look like they have an appeal in their process. You're supposed to have somewhere to appeal according to like Robert's rules. That's one reason they want the ethics committee to do like an investigation or have another committee do an investigation so that there can be an impartial like jury to look at the matter to find the truth in it instead of just having the same body that's bringing the charges to you being your prosecutor and your executioner, and they get to choose your sentence. It's kind of a cool, like, I think it's a win-lose. They win, we lose. So it's kind of a cool setup in their way of doing it.
Okay. So are you guys, if there is an appeal right, do you think you would appeal it?
I would appeal it because I would love to see them actually do the trial according to Robert's rules, where they do an investigation and find out really why we wrote a letter, because we were just concerned about having the executive committee take a vote to endorse municipal candidates. There's only been one other time where that's been done in Salt Lake County, and that was when Chris Knoll was in as party chair for one time. Every other time before that, they'll post like, here are all the municipal candidates in Salt Lake County. You can look and see who's running and make your decision on which people you want. But, you know, they could have 2 or 3 Republicans in the same race. And they're not labeled Republicans, but they're registered with the Republican Party because the municipal races aren't run as partisan, right?
Yeah.
So that vote that they asked us to do in the executive session was very unique. And it wasn't just a regular thing. It was new, and it's not something that's been happening in the Republican Party as a regular happenstance. I don't know, happening. Sorry.
Okay.
Anyway, so when they asked us to take the vote, that's why we were concerned, because we're like, this could sway an election. This could be something that we're we're putting a voice out there saying, we have done our due diligence to look into this person when we really hadn't. And I think that that's one of the biggest concerns, because when it comes to the Republican Party in Utah with the grassroots like caucus system, you take time to go learn who's running, and you ask them questions, and you see where they've come from, and you see if you can support them, right? Where in the municipal elections, they're not put in the caucus system. So it's a whole different like setup for them to file and have a primary. So it's not just a mild thing to endorse or to nominate from our party, right? So that's why we were concerned, and we just thought that maybe if it was election interference, we would be able to say we didn't want to have a part in it. And the district attorneys obviously didn't think it was that important. They didn't really do anything with our letter, so they didn't do anything with the letter, but the party chair seems to think it was super impactful that we now need to be removed because of it. So I don't know. I don't know if you want me to say anything more in a certain vein, but.
Oh, no. You can say what you want, but the S-bar 10, I think that's Susan Beretta, says, my understanding is that a bylaw to allow for such an appeal was voted on in the November 2025 CCM, but it missed passing by a few votes. So that's kind of interesting. Maybe there is not an appeal right, which is a little bit weird, you know?
I don't remember that vote in the November CCM, but I was there. So I'm like, it's a good question. We never got an investigation, so that would be a good part to have happen.
Did you go to the CCM on Saturday?
No, I didn't go.
Okay. Because I think one of the distinctions I noticed between you, I think you, Debbie, Kathy Duke got the lightest sentence. I think you and Debbie got the next kind of harsher punishment. But yours did not include that you cannot attend party events.
I didn't know how
everybody else does.
I didn't know how to take that because I didn't have a position now I'm not someone who can vote in the meeting. So I could have gone, but we had a niece and nephew who needed a chaperone. So we chaperoned them. Anyway.
Okay. All right, fair enough. Okay, so then this morning I actually got an email from you, and I was hoping you could talk about that. Tell us about the email and what you're trying to do.
Okay, so we looked in the bylaws in the CCM or for the Central Committee, and 10% of the precinct chairs can call for a meeting. Sorry.
You're good.
If we have 10% of the precinct chairs sign or ask for a meeting can be called without the chair needing to call it. And we can go act on the motion that Sarah Montes brought up in the meeting, which was to rescind these consequences of the trial. Okay. So we were trying to get 10% of the filed precinct chairs to help us with that.
Okay, here I've got a cop. Let me share if I can share this. I have this somewhere. I'm gonna lose my mind today if my computer keeps giving me problems because it's annoying me. All right, here we go. This is it, right? There you go. Okay. So
I think that there were a lot of people who didn't even have a clue of what was happening. Like when Sarah said that, they were like, "What is going on?" And then
Sarah, interesting. Okay.
They were like, "We don't understand what has transpired. We don't know what the problem was." And when the chair, Mike Carey, was speaking about it, he wouldn't let anyone else come to the mic to like respond to tell the body about it. And so a lot of people that we've heard from just by word of mouth is that like, well, we want to know really what happened so that we know how to even think about it. And so when we were sending out this, we wanted them to make this this email motion so that we can see if we can get it a meeting called soon, because there's kind of a history in all of this, these interchanges where it's like, we ask for a motion and then they're like, no, you can't call it now. And then we get to the point where we can call it and they'll say it's too late to call it.
It's like, it's so weird, right? It's just, there's just so many different
like,
hoops you have to jump through.
How do we even know when we're ready to get to that motion or point of order, right? We're trying to be well prepared and well educated on the bylaws and the Robert's Rules of Order and how it's set up. And then every time we bring it up in order, it just gets turned around and it's like, sorry, this is not well taken. And you're like, well, do we have to follow these rules or not? Can we all make up our own, or can, you know? But so this is why we think we should get this going right away so that it could be taken care of before caucus and we could have, you know, people participate if they're wanting to.
Okay.
Anyway, we also want people to know that they may not agree with us on the letter we wrote, but they hopefully can agree on the idea of due process, that we should follow how it's set up so that people can be treated fairly.
Okay. No, I get what you're saying. I mean, do we have a couple comments that are interesting? Let's see. Melanie Yates says, has anyone noticed that it's always the Lyman supporters that these people in power target? I started seeing it during the organizing convention right after they kicked out Casey. Jensen responded, they want to get all the Lyman people out before the next governor election. And I will note that the minimum sentence that or the minimum restriction, a lot saying you cannot be in an elected position or an appointed position, was actually right after the 2028 caucuses, so May 1st of 2028, right? So really, that is kind of I thought that same thing. I wondered, is some of this to impact maybe who becomes a delegate in 2028, planning ahead for the gubernatorial election? Maybe can you talk about that and your thoughts on that?
Well, we have had a discussion about that because it is 100%. All of us are Lyman supporters. And I think one of the reasons that we are all united is because we've watched the last 3-4 years how we've all tried to help create or run for office, try to help like stop this change in so much of our policy to be following the Constitution, following the laws of Utah, you know, and everyone's like, we really just don't like to hear you guys. But it is, all 8 of us are really, it's 100% Lyman supporters. So it is, there isn't just correlation there, right? It isn't just some of us are there and some are not, because, and maybe we're all just passionate that we've watched what's happened the whole time with Phil and Natalie, and like what's going on in the courts right now with you guys getting, you know, discovery on this case. It's not like it's unfounded what's happened in the whole governor's race last year.
Yeah.
So, and I brought that up in my trial because they said, do you feel like this is a kangaroo court? And I said, well, you guys aren't following the bylaws or Robert's rules. So it's not in order. This whole trial shouldn't be happening because you guys haven't followed how it goes. And they kind of just laughed. So.
Okay. Well, I mean, I think you kind of did say it's kangaroo court. So.
Well, they brought that up, or someone else brought up the word. But
okay. Maybe talk about what kind of a response you've gotten to this email that you sent out this morning.
So I don't personally have numbers. I've had people reach out to me asking for more information. Other people who are really frustrated that I sent them another email. You know, it's like, I told you not to contact me. Anyway, I do feel bad. I usually like to make sure that I'm tempered in my responses. But I had several people who sent emails. I don't have a number to give you right now. I'll have to ask, you know, because it's mainly going to Sarah, and so we need to see where it has landed today.
Okay.
Anyway.
Okay. Well, we'll be interested to see where that goes. I'm actually a precinct chair, and I wasn't able to go on Saturday because I had drill, but I want to go to the next. I feel like I missed some good drama And I'm gay, so I love drama. But so I was like, I was sitting at drill, like I want to be there, I want to see the drama. But hopefully, when you reschedule it, I can come and at least participate.
Yeah, and I think if you look at Michael Clare's video, Mike said he would host a meeting, and then he sent an email saying there's no way we can rescind that motion. There's no way we can rescind these consequences for these 8 people, 7 people. There's nothing we can do. It's cut in stone. You can't call a new meeting. And we're like, well, it does say in the bylaws if we get 10% of the body to call a meeting, we can call a meeting.
Yeah.
So we're trying to do some kind of appeal just to see if we can keep something, I don't know, due process, having, justice followed.
Well, okay. Here's another question for you. If this restriction was not in place, what would you run for a position again in March? I mean, it's coming up March 17th. So let's say that the executive committee had not said you cannot run for an office until May 1st of 2028. Do you think you would be going on March 17th and running to be the secretary again, or running for a delegate spot?
And probably. I don't know. My husband's like, aren't you done yet? With all this crazy stuff. But yeah, I feel like I'm pretty up to date on what's happening in Utah and Salt Lake. And so I think that I'm probably someone in my neighborhood they come to me to find out what's going on. Yeah. So I feel like that's what I would do. But if I'm, not allowed to, I have plenty of other things I can do with my time. So.
Okay. I guess Jensen says the meeting doesn't count for us, but it counts for him. So convenient. I'm not 100% sure what that means.
So it was so funny because they said that they didn't notice the meeting early enough. It was supposed to be noticed 14 days ahead. Yeah. And they noticed it at 13 days. So they're like, it wasn't properly noticed. So this meeting doesn't count. So we can't have any business done. So making that motion, he said, doesn't count. But then in his email yesterday, he says, it does count as our quarterly meeting. So it can count because they didn't notice it properly, but it doesn't count because they didn't properly notice it. So he can't have it both ways. You can't have it count as a meeting because it wasn't properly noticed and not allow any business. So. Okay.
Oh, so that's right. He does say in that video that they won't have any business at that meeting that happened on Saturday because it was not properly noticed and it would be a training meeting. So that's interesting. Oh, Mr. Producer says, can the listeners be told where the accusations were that were made against the defendants? Yes. If you go to Mike Carey's X feed, so it's at Mike Carey, the number 4 CC. He has it pinned to it's the top post on his X feed. And you can click into that. It talks about the allegations against each person, what the findings were, and it actually has all the charging documents, email exchanges with Tracy, the whole thing, the whole shebang. Is there? And then Kathy Duke says, if you are precinct chair, please send a letter to the vice chair at the SLCO GOP to call a meeting. Okay, maybe Laurel, do you want to talk about what should people do if they want to help you, or if they want to or if they want to call a meeting?
Yeah, send an email to vicechair@slcogop.com to ask for a meeting. You need to put your name, your position of the party, and then with the statement, I request a call to hold a central committee meeting to consider the motion to rescind and restore four-party unity that Sarah Montes asked for at our Saturday meeting. So, and if we can get it today, it'd be really helpful. In our email we sent, and I don't know if Goud, you could post those links or something. But there are 3 different YouTube videos that show the different things we've done to kind of update on what's happened with our trials, how they noticed everything. Like we had We had
Oh, this is-
6 of the 8 of us that were only given a letter saying you need to show up for a trial because you signed this letter. There was no like advance notice of like, hey, we have a question about why you wrote this letter. You know,
Okay.
no investigation, no calls. Besides, there were some calls that were kind of like, well, you can apologize for writing this letter because we know you probably were forced into it. Anyway.
Oh, was that something that was offered to you during the trial?
No, well, I had one of our committee members come up and tell me if I just apologized, they would probably vote for me to stay in. And
Oh, okay.
we had a couple in other meetings, and some of the people got a phone call saying, hey, I'd like to talk to you about this. You know, maybe you were pressured into this and you could say you're sorry. And I mean, really, we wrote a letter worrying about making a vote to have election interference. And
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, if the DAs didn't do anything with it, then they didn't do anything with it. It was a letter. There was no like attorney. Anyway, it's just interesting.
I guess I'm just wondering though, if they said to you, if you apologize, then this will go like we're good.
Well, I said I didn't do anything wrong. I signed a letter. I'm like, I'm sorry it's gotten blown up. Like, but I should be able to have the right to speak, and I should be able to like bring up a concern, right? Anyone who brings up a concern shouldn't be turned down. So,
okay, that's fair. That's fair. Jensen says if you lie about being sorry, the vote could be 13-1 instead of 14-0. Okay. So anyway, I guess hopefully report back to us if you don't mind on whether we end up with a meeting or not. And I guess where can people find you if they have any questions or they want to follow up?
I'm not super active on social media. Like they can email me at fetzerlaurel@gmail.com.
Okay.
I would say like if people don't know what's going on, they can watch those YouTube videos just to kind of update them on. We're just trying to like help them see. We haven't followed process, or we've tried to like just show what's going on, and they don't want to listen. They want us gone. So.
Okay. Well, good luck and thank you for coming on again. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Gal. Appreciate it.
Okay. Bye, Laurel.
Okay, bye.
Okay. Well, that was interesting. Anyway, you can see her email is up here at the top of this. I have my cursor on it. And then these are the videos she's talking about right here in this email. Maybe I'll try to post a screenshot of this later. Although, actually, I think I posted it. If you go to my X account, I think I posted the screenshots of this email in there. So you should be able to see it there if you want to watch the videos. Okay. So we'll see what happens with that. Kind of interesting, right? Mr. Producer, is that video doing any better now? I would just love, I thought the video, like the ending part of it was kind of important. And then Mr. Producer says, if it made the GOP look bad, can't be doing that. Okay. Do we want to try again? Okay, I'm getting silence. Silence. Well, while Mr. Producer is being silent, I will. Are you there? Okay. Well, okay, so we're gonna have a couple more topics today. The first one I want to talk about is data centers, and then we will switch into some education issues when Monica Wilbur calls in. So I know this is a kind of a jarring switch unless Mr. Producer comes back with that video and has something that I can actually show you without stopping continuously, because that's annoying me. Okay, so basically, I think I just want to say I think the GOP generally is completely missing the boat on the data center issue, like completely missing it, doesn't understand it, and I suspect a lot of people in power it's a grift, so they're getting campaign donations in exchange for approving these data centers. And what they're doing, though, is actually ending up destroying farmland, sucking up water, and also taking up huge amounts of electricity, which then flows back to consumers through electricity price increases. Like in Virginia right now, there are massive electricity price increases going on, and it is a result of the number of data centers that they have there. These things suck massive amounts of water. Mr. Producer said he spoke, but I can't hear him. Okay, well, I don't know what that's about. He's gonna try again. Okay. Are you there? I don't think he's there. Okay, so let me just give you a little background here. The Salt Lake Trib actually did a pretty good article on this, and there is a data center that was recently approved in Millard County, and let me just read to you a couple of these paragraphs out of this article because they're good. In rural Millard County, Karen Taylor is bracing for the day the farmland across the street transforms into a sprawling data center complex. Initial plans for Jewel Capital Partners' 4,000-acre data center. Oh, hold on. Initial plans for Jewel Capital Partners' 4,000-acre data center call for 6 buildings, each powered by 69 Caterpillar natural gas-powered generators to meet the intensive energy demands. Oh, hey, Mr. Producer. I heard you that time. Oh, hey, Monica, you're already here. All right, hold on. Give me a second. I guess we're going to switch topics. Okay, we will come back to this topic. We'll switch to education. I may have been off a little bit. Okay, give me a second. I will show you what we're going to talk about for the education piece of this. And we will come back to our very important data center topic. All right, here we go. Let me share this with you. So this week, I saw this guy posted, this Oren McIntyre posted a really interesting post about the use of Chromebooks in schools. And what he said is that when he was teaching, kids were cheating, using those Chromebooks to cheat. They're Googling everything, refusing to read, assuming that copying and pasting things was good enough for their assignments. And then also, but what's kind of even more disturbing about this is he said that they were circumventing controls to look at porn, play video games, and watch movies or YouTube in class. And personally, obviously, I didn't grow up with a computer regularly, right? Like when I was in elementary school, I remember we used to go once in a while and play Oregon Trail, which was very, very basic back then. I don't know what it looks like today. But generally, I didn't have a computer. And I don't even think I really had, I think probably in high school is when we got one in my house. And it was later in high school. And then in college, I think again, I had like a computer. And I didn't have a computer generally. I didn't have a computer I walked around with. So for me, at least, I have trouble absorbing tons of information off my computer screen. I actually have to print a lot of stuff. And I'm a lawyer. So I actually print cases. I print things out so that I can see them, I can mark things up and kind of delve into it. And what I struggle with is I don't understand if that is a generational thing. And I'm interested in what Monica thinks about this. Is it generational because I didn't grow up that way? Or is it like a human thing? So that kids today, even though they're starting on these Chromebooks really young, are they able to absorb the information? Or are these products actually distracting kids and making it so they're not able to develop the skills that they need to be able to analyze information and really to become like good citizens, I think, because if I've learned anything over the past 6 years being more politically active, it is that you have to be able to delve into details on issues to be able to actually make headway on them. You have people that are more surface level, and I don't feel like they make as much progress as people who are actually willing to delve into the details, kind of work through them, work through facts, work through legal issues, and really kind of figure out what really happened. Anyway, let's bring Monica on because she is our kind of education expert. Hey, Monica, how are you?
Hey, Goud. Fine. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. Well, thanks for coming on tonight. I think, did you hear what I was talking about in terms of this, the ability to absorb information from a screen? Can you talk about that?
Yeah, let's talk about that for a second. Screens have dramatically and drastically changed how children are consuming information and also producing information. I don't think there's any doubt out there. I think there's a lot of evidence that shows that the screens have been counterproductive to learning for a variety of reasons and in a variety of ways. Let me give you an example. First of all, I believe there was a study that just recently came out where the scientist who was doing research on children's brains and correlated the brain development with the time that is spent in front of screens. And what he discovered was that that screen exposure actually erodes the myelin sheaths of the neurons, which makes cognitive development, it basically retards it. It totally slows it down. So these kids, yeah, and it's like it's a physical erosion of the brain. It's not just it's not just like, oh, maybe there's something else going on there. Maybe they're not perceiving things in the right way. This is a physical erosion of the brain's protective mechanisms and structures. And so it's not a good thing. Screens are horrible for kids. And yet this is where the money is. So anytime we talk about education, probably the biggest thing we need to talk about is following the money. Because they're good old-fashioned books, good old-fashioned paper, pencil, that doesn't make anybody any money, except like, who is it, Ticonderoga or whoever like makes pencils like that. It doesn't, the Dunder Mifflins of the world make money when it comes to paper and stuff like that, but like nobody else does, right? And we know ed tech is a huge billion-dollar industry when it comes to getting into the schools and changing how the kids learn and absorb information. And really, we're just dumbing down the kids exponentially thanks to the tech. So is it a generational thing? In a way, like you and I weren't conditioned to click like little monkeys and touch things with our thumbs and screens, right? And so for us, it's probably easier to turn that impulse off. But when you are raised with this, when so many assessments, so much curriculum, so much instruction, in fact, is taking place online, like this is how the kids view their world now, through this little rectangle lens that is not reflective of anything but the algorithms that are programmed into it, and it's not real life. And we probably spend a lot of time, your personal time, in front of a computer, right? Just because of the nature of your work. I do too. However, we've learned to intake our information from other sources. That's not been beaten out of us. But those kids, access to those sources, and not just access, but an appreciation for those other sources has been terribly downplayed in the education system.
Okay. So the money piece is really interesting. There was an interview recently, I think it was with Sam Altman, and like he's gay and he has a couple of kids, I think. And the interviewer asked him, how many hours do you allow your kids to be on screens? And his response was, I don't know if I should say, you would be surprised at how little tech executives actually allow their kids to be on screens. And I swear to you, it was something like, it was an hour. I don't even know I think it might have been an hour a week or something. It was very, very low. And it kind of gets to what you're talking about, right? It makes me think that while they want you to use the screens and your kids to use the screens, it is telling to me that they're not having their own children use the screens. I guess maybe talk about that.
Sure. It's not a very it's not a big secret or anything that a lot of these Silicon Valley moguls, ed tech moguls, do not let their kids touch the devices they've created. They don't let them they don't let them go to schools where it is ed tech centric. In fact,
Really?
what was that?
Really? So
Oh,
they're
totally.
sending their kids to more traditional, like old-fashioned schools?
Well, I wouldn't call them traditional and old fashioned. There's a name for them. Experiential would be the proper name for it,
Okay.
meaning that they go and they do hands-on projects, that kind of thing. And so, but yeah, for the most part, they are not letting their kids go to these schools. And the biggest reason is because they know the actual physical rewiring. They know what they programmed into these algorithms. They absolutely are very aware of how addictive ed tech can be.
Okay.
Social media, the gaming, all that comes with it. So much of education is gamified. In other words, the kids learn how to read through the lens of a video game, essentially. That's got phonics, sprinkled throughout or whatever it may be. It's horrible. That is not how. That's not how people have learned for millennia. And these guys are smart enough to know that the crack is for the little guy, right? The crack is for you and me and whoever else. They don't give their kids the crack.
Oh my God. Okay, talk about that. I remember a while ago, you and Natalie came and you did this presentation on the addictiveness of the algorithms and the algorithms that they use in ed tech.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about that, because I feel like most people don't realize that.
A lot of people don't realize just how crazily addictive the tech is designed to be by definition. You think of look at video games, for instance, this constant feedback loop that happens in them, these systems of rewards, right? That come where the kid does something and then, achievement unlocked, you've leveled up, etc. And that is it can be very powerful, that kind of feedback loop where kids start getting this little endorphin rush, like, oh, I'm doing something, and all sorts of synapses start popping, etc. And what we are seeing is that kids are not learning obviously for learning's sake. It's all become this high-tech version of Skinnerism, of behaviorism. You give the chicken a piece of corn, right, and get them to peck, at the button in order to get the corn, kind of thing. And our kids are doing that with the computers. That's just really what's happened. Is we've been able to take B.F. Skinner's theories and experiments on behaviorism. Pavlov, the same thing with the dog salivating, and we've been able to operationalize that, thanks to the ed tech, the persistent presence of one-to-one devices, the Chromebooks. Everything is more lively off a screen, and then the teachers are basically at that point reduced to facilitators of the tech. It's all turnkey. It's turnkey. They go in. Somebody's already programmed all the curriculum for them. They go program they put in a few parameters that are maybe specific to their students, and then they step back, and the computers will create that. They'll create the curriculum, the instruction, and even the assessments. So yeah, kind of nuts.
Okay. It's interesting when you're talking about kind of I think Mr. Producer is calling it like a dopamine response to the games.
Yes.
I was also thinking back, I worked with this guy who told me that with video games, the music that they use in the video game is actually intended to keep you hooked and concentrated on the game. I'm wondering, is there music involved in these games as well that is kind of aimed at that?
Absolutely. It's a total sensory experience, except for the smell, right? Like the olfactory parts. But you've got the tactile feedback, right, from sitting there and manipulating a screen or a keyboard or a mouse or whatever it may be. You've got the auditory inputs, and not only that, but there are a lot of, there's, for instance, early literacy software that actually has, this isn't new. The kids put on a headset, they've got a microphone on it, and so they're able to interact. The kids will sit there, and the computer will say, read this passage out loud. And so the kid reads the passage out loud, and then the computer provides feedback based on what the kid just wrote. So you're having like this two-way, a dialogue essentially taking place between the kid and the computer. We all know algorithms are not the way, AI and the way these algorithms are produced. They try to mimic that human interaction. They're not very good at it though. So yeah, so it's very bad. It's bad learning. Like, it's bad pedagogical practice to sit a kid in front of a computer and just turn it over to the computers, because at that point the kid enters into this kind of like total sensory, like it's almost like overload at a certain point. You got the bells, you got the whistles, you got the visuals, you got the auditory feedback and all that kind of stuff. So it's really designed to be what's considered an immersive experience. If you've known people who play games, right? Like these video games, these massive online games where, you assume a persona, an avatar or whatever, and you're supposed to be immersing yourself in the game. And that speaks to one of the larger agendas behind schools, is to create kind of like this immersive culture. And the tech enables it, but it goes even beyond that. And they have, other reinforcers with how they design the learning areas, et cetera, the mantras, the dogmas that the teachers are supposed to kind of, put out in front of the kids. The whole idea is to kind of really make these kids easily malleable so that they don't question what's happening to them.
Okay, that's horrible. Now, in this post by Oron McIntyre, he does talk about how when he was teaching and these Chromebooks were coming into place, and he said this is before COVID, that the kids were cheating rampantly, that they're Googling every single fact. He said they were able to circumvent controls on the Chromebooks to watch porn, play video games, and watch movies. And that they were even doing things like using Google Docs to to gossip. So this is like when you used to pass notes as a kid, right? Now they're just doing it on their little Chromebook, I guess. Yeah. I'm wondering, because I think a lot of times when people from Utah hear about stuff like this, they always think, oh, it's not happening here. Utah's different, it's better. Maybe talk about that. Are these things happening here? Do we have the same issues?
Oh, we totally have these issues here in schools. Like we and Utah, thanks to COVID, you had Google come in with their Chromebook initiative, putting all these kids on one-to-one devices. Supposedly, there's a bill being run by now by not supposedly, the bill is being run, but the bill, I believe, is called the Balance Act, and it's supposed to try to pull back on some of the tech for kids in the younger ages. It doesn't really do that. It just gives the impression that it's doing that. It kind of creates this like false impression that it's doing that, but it allows the districts to kind of create their own policies, either based on a model policy that the state board comes up with that advises on tech use, or to create their own that they can say, yeah, we're keeping within the spirit of this bill. But there are numerous, there's a lot of wiggle room. There are numerous ways where the schools can literally say, yes, we're compliant with the law while still implementing the tech agenda kind of full force. For instance, they can still use it for like assessments. They can say, well, this is a valid educational use, or we're doing it in the most protective way possible, which, such a low bar, and nobody is there to really provide any oversight. Who's going to challenge? Like if you as a parent go to the districts and say, hey, I feel like, you're supposed to be more protective of these kids, and it feels like my kid is still a lot on tech. they could say, well, we've put in all the necessary protections that we could have possibly at our disposal. We have filters, et cetera. But not a lot of people realize that it's like there was a study by, I'm trying to think the name of I actually have it here. In 2022, there was a K-12 EdTech Safety Benchmark National Report. And it published some very disturbing statistics. For instance, like nearly all apps, 96% share children's personal information with third parties.
Oh,
And
whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa. Oh, no. Okay. That's not good.
It's not good. It's not good. And then 78% of the time, that information was shared with advertising and monetization entities without the knowledge of the parents. So you can still have advertisers who come in, you can still have these ed tech programs that, you know, they always say, oh, we'll protect the data. Who is auditing these companies? Nobody. Nobody is auditing these companies. There's nobody. There's so much data flying through. I think there was a video, if you like Google it for YouTube, it's called Data Palooza. And this representative from Newton, which is an ed tech company, the guy was basically saying, we collect so many millions of data points on your kid, like per day. We can't even quantify it. You know, to the point where we don't only know what your kid had for breakfast. We're going to tell you what your kid is going to eat for breakfast. You know, and it's funny because so many of these apps are pushed as like education specific, and they're not. So many of them are like fully up to a third of them are non-education specific. You know, like YouTube, Spotify, etc. There's very little guardrails for kids on those apps, even though, you know, Google likes to pretend there are, etc. You know, basically, these kids are gold mines. Their information is so stinking valuable. A huge social experiment is being conducted on them through the tech. Like there's no, there really are no guardrails on it. And we've had parents here in Utah who've just tried on the very local level, like my kid's school. I just want, and all they wanted was paper and pencil, a non-tech pathway for their kids to get at least through elementary school. And they were given lip service, you know, they were placated, you know, and at the end of the day, they couldn't even get that at the local level. And it's because too much of the agenda depends on that tech collection, right? The data collection.
Yeah. You know, when you say the piece about the money flowing, can you talk about where that flows? Is it these companies donate to the politicians, or what is that flow that's putting the pressure to have these things in our schools?
Okay, so are you familiar with Panorama, which is an early warning system? It's a major data collector on students. It collects all sorts of information. And what an early warning system is supposed to do, it's supposed to indicate which students are at risk, right, of not graduating, or maybe at risk of self-harming behavior, et cetera. But you know, that's just really a pretext. They use that type of a platform to collect all sorts of data on the kids that, you know, really has nothing to do with you know, their immediate risk of not graduating or whatever. So like, for instance, Panorama is like a major, like that they just, I think they're like if they're a multi-million-dollar company, if not $1 billion company. They contract with states across the nation. I believe the CEO or the president of Panorama was Joe Biden's like son-in-law or something like that. No, Merrick Garland, not Joe Biden. Merrick Garland's son-in-law. And yeah, you can't make this kind of stuff up, but it's crazy. They are in most of the schools here in Utah. And so what they'll do is they'll collect data on the kids' socioeconomic demographics. Like, are their parents poor? Did they go to college? That kind of thing. They collect their racial and ethnic information. It collects all that. It collects their attendance information. It collects any sort of behavior that they're and their academics as well. But then they have this entire category for social emotional learning. And so teachers can actually go into the panorama. They can say, oh, gee, Goud, you laughed when some kid said the word like, or called something so gay. Okay, Goud, that's not very socially aware. Goud, that's not very empathetic. And so what they can do is they can put these social emotional competencies into the system, and they say Goud needs to work on these things. So here are the interventions we're going to deploy in order to make Goud more empathetic, in order to make Goud more socially aware, in order to make Goud more collectively responsible, or whatever it is, whatever name they want to label your behavior, they can do that. And so there's a lot of money to be found in this, like snake oil. So many companies, and I'm not kidding, like all the way across the universe, so many companies have hopped on this social emotional learning bandwagon, because this is where all of education is going. This is where the money is. The money isn't teaching, the Declaration of Independence. That's free. You can pick up any old book. You can print that out. That's free. There's no money there. They want to go where the money is, and the money is in collecting the kids' social emotional data, which is why there was such an outcry when Trevor Lee ran his HB 399 a week and a half ago, and it was in the House Education Committee, and it got held. But I don't think many people know this. There was a national call to action put forward by the, I think it was the U.S. social workers, the United States social workers, or no, something. It was like the School Social Workers Association, and they put out a national call to action against his bill, even before it hit the hearing committee. And not only that, but there were a lot of like this, no, it wasn't. It was called, I think, Leading with SEL. I think that's the name of the group that put out the national call to action. And it's a bunch of edtech companies. It's a bunch of social emotional learning think tanks and policy researchers and big names that have been in this business, that have been experimenting on kids and their social emotional competencies for decades now, like Castle, and the American Institutes of Research, etc. So there's that. This is their bread and butter. This is their business model, and they all freaked out to the extent where one little bill in Utah grabbed their attention.
Fascinating. Okay, what would that bill have done?
What the bill would have done is protected against character grading and tracking systems in the schools. And so, like right now, like I mentioned to you, there's a lot of data collection on the kids' social emotional competencies. And that just basically means their values, their beliefs, their dispositions, their emotions, all the subjective things about a child that have nothing to do with academics, So, like when you and I were going to school, did anybody like take your emotional temperature when you walked in the classroom? Like, Goud, how are you feeling today? Nope. Are you ready to learn? Do you feel like you're ready to learn? And so, all that kind of stuff is what they're doing now on a constant basis. They're collecting this data. Natalie and I, back in 2024, we went to Castle's 30th year anniversary, their celebration of social emotional learning. And one portion of that convention was, it looked like a great big science fair. They had all these universities, all these companies laying out all their research, all their programs, all the experimentation they've been doing on social emotional learning, row after row after row of displays. There's so much money in social emotional learning, and these kids are the lab rats, right? They're the ones who are producing that valuable data, because data is the most valuable currency we've got in today's economy.
Okay, interesting. Well, what if parents want to not or go back to that experiential learning model? I guess maybe talk about what the options are for parents who want to do that.
Well, one of the first things parents can do is, like I mentioned, they're holding Trevor Lee's bill right now. They're not going to let it out of the House Education Committee. Parents need to demand that that bill comes out, because what that means is that suddenly the schools can't create this like social emotional profile on the kids anymore. Like, you have to focus on academics. You have to focus on the ABCs. So the ABCs are attendance, behavior, coursework, things that are objectively measurable. And you
Okay.
don't slap a label on it. It's like, so that's the first thing they can do. The first thing parents can do is like support a bill like this. And I really mean, when I say support, I mean, look it up. Look up those House Education Committee members. Go find Natalie Klein's Facebook. Go look up information about HB 399.
Okay.
Look at my Facebook. Look it up and contact these people and let them know, like, this is not okay. Because how do they get that information? They get it through tech, and that's what Trevor Lee's bill does. Is it kind of puts a kibosh on. If you take away the incentive, then suddenly, why are they going to collect all that information if they get in trouble for it, basically, and they can't use it? And that's what his bill does. So that's the first thing they can do. The second thing, and so that's HB 399, Trevor Lee. Get in touch with the House committee members and say, would you like release this bill? Release the hounds. Let this bill come out. Give it a fair shake. It's got a substitute that the committee members wanted. Some changes were made that were really, really good to it. Really like this. It's going to be great. The second thing that parents can do is homeschool.
Okay.
And I mean
That's how this is going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's that way you have total control. And when I say homeschool, that doesn't mean like, oh, I'm going to teach my kid at home using the Utah fits all, like voucher funds, etc. Because you're still accountable to the school system. You have to report what your kid is doing. There's a profile, and that profile is collecting data on your home, on you, on your child. That profile is collecting, and it will become more expansive as time gets on. I don't know if any people know this. Lincoln Fillmore is running a bill that is going to basically kind of create this consolidated a database, and it's going to be used across the state. Every school's data is going to feed into it. And not only that, but these third-party software platforms, those will sit and they will also feed into it. And in his bill, he literally says that this database is going to collect and keep information about homeschoolers. Why?
Oh, interesting.
Why? Like, why are you collecting? How are you collecting information on homeschoolers? Whether it's through the vouchers or something else. So homeschool your kids. If your kid is in the school. So the third thing I would recommend is just like, you just have to throw a fight. If you have to get your kid a 504 accommodation because the screen time is melting his or her brain, do it. And let the teachers know that, like, this is not good for my kid. Now, most of them will tell you, well, it's untenable. We can't give you curriculum. We can't give assessments. They're all online. And that's partially true, but at least you can take that fight as far as you are willing to fight it.
Okay. Very well. That's great advice. It's something, at least, right? I guess this has been great. Where can people find you and get more information about education issues and bills?
Okay, so they can find our website. I have a website with Natalie that we've been working on very diligently for the past 4 years or so, 3 or 4 years. It's called higherground.work. That's WORK. We also have our X and YouTube and Instagram handles are at highergroundut. Okay. And then I post on Facebook as Monica B. Wilbur, and Natalie is on there, I believe, as Natalie J. Klein. Yep, that's the site. And we hope to be keeping it updated with more information, especially right now. Oh, and if you want to look, if Goud, if you can go right now, just really quickly on there, where it says register for Bad Bills Zoom. If you can click on that link at the very top, yeah. So this is something that we've started where we're going over bad bills. And we have a really cool tool that allows us to track these bills in real time and to explain why they're bad. We mostly focus on education, but that isn't to say we don't cover other bills as well. And so if you click that button again, maybe it'll take you down. There you go. And our bad bill tracker is live, as you can see right there. That window right there shows you the bills we are tracking and these tags that we apply to the bills, like that early literacy one right there. I could talk for days about early literacy and how they're ruining literacy, but these are the bad bill tags that we've attached to it. We provide an analysis and a recommendation of what to do with the bill, you know, like set it on fire, run over it with a dump truck, and then set it on fire. Like, and then if you were to click through, like, go ahead and click on that early at the top where it says early literacy, right? Yeah, if you click on that, it takes you to and if you scroll down a little bit and click on the bill text.
Here.
Bill, yep. And then if you go down, scroll down the sides of it, I believe it should be on this. If it's not on this version, there you go.
Oh wow, okay. So you have explanations on the bills. This is a detail.
We do. We highlight the areas that we believe are problematic. We attach one of our bad bill tags to it. You can see like there, the too many moving parts bill tag. Says too many moving parts, bill complicates, not simplifies, creates too many points of, I can't exactly, you'll have to like scroll over just a little bit, like too many points of, let's see, I think actually if you just kind of grab it and move it over to the side or something, but workarounds, exceptions, like too many points of failure. I remember what it was, too many points of failure. Yeah. Through exceptions and workarounds. And then we explain why. And this is our, like, consider this our expression of love for parents everywhere. And it's hard to know what you're looking at. They're always told, oh, we've got a bill, or, by legislators. No, there's a bill that protects you, or there's a bill that does this. And a lot of people they're not, it's not your job to be reading bills. And even if you do, half the time you don't even know what you're looking at. Well, because we've spent so much time in the policy area, we know what they're talking about, or the education policy area, we know what they're talking about. We speak the lingo. And we're familiar with the culture, so we can break it down in a way that makes sense to you. If you're not familiar with it to that same extent. And so we're very, very pleased with this tool of ours. We feel like it's been a wonderful way to just go through the bills and to help us better understand where education is going in Utah, and it's not going in good directions. It's just getting worse, with the exception of that bright spot of HB 399. If they will let it out of committee, they really ought to let that out of committee. It's one of the few bright spots in education this year in Utah.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Monica. We appreciate it.
All right. Thank you, Goud.
Bye. Okay, well, I gotta say this is a really helpful website. So, because I actually do read bills, and I think they've spent hours working on this. So this is a great tool. I would recommend people check it out. And it'll save you some time in having to go and analyze bills. Okay, now we'll get back to the final topic. And I also, by the way, I do recommend that you follow them on Facebook, Instagram, X, wherever you get your social media, because they do put out very good information especially on education issues. I think those are that. And let me just add, like, that's what I think is so weird about removing them from the Salt Lake County GOP like that, because they're actually, both Natalie Klein and Monica Wilbur are these powerhouses on education issues, especially from that conservative perspective, like really understanding it, really kind of delving into it. And so it's really unfortunate when the party removes them, because you're actually removing a great resource for parents. Many of the parents that are concerned about these issues are actually Republicans. And so they're looking to people like this to get the information they need to be able to protect their kids. Okay, let me get back to, we'll finish up talking about the data centers. Okay, and why I think this is, like I said earlier, Mr. Producer said, they're powerful, they're powerhouses, truth bombs, they had to go. Probably true, unfortunately. Okay, so we're gonna talk data centers. Like I said earlier, when I did a false start, these data centers are actually, I think, a big issue, and the Republicans generally are on the wrong side of it. And I think there's a lot of, I think President Trump has this vision of AI where we build AI data centers everywhere. And I assume they think the money spent on constructing them, on filling them with computers will drive economic growth. But then I just don't know if they're actually, these things are actually valuable for humans, right? Meaning that they take up massive amounts of electricity, they take up massive amounts of water. They a lot of times they're putting them in rural areas where, you know, these are areas where we're growing food. So instead of growing food now, our resources are being diverted to something that is supposed to provide this great benefit to humanity, but really all it provides for the most part is a chatbot, and it's meant to get you lazy and addicted. Because I mean, I look at some of these, because sometimes, for example, on X, someone will respond to me and they'll say, at Grok, what do you think about this? And then it'll give you some answer, and I'm like, well, that's a lazy, stupid answer. I mean, I can appreciate AI as a tool, but I certainly don't think that anybody should be outsourcing their analytical capabilities to AI. In the same way, you should never, you really shouldn't outsource your analytical capabilities to anybody. You should think on your own. But let me just start. This article in the Trib was actually, it's kind of helpful. And they're talking about Millard County, they approved a big data center. So it says in rural Millard County, Kaylin Taylor is bracing for the day the farmland across the street transforms into a sprawling data center complex. Initial plans for Jewel Capital Partners' 4,000-acre data center site call for 6 buildings, each powered by 69 Caterpillar natural gas-powered generators to meet the intensive energy demands. Construction is slated to begin this spring. Once built, Taylor will likely hear the equivalent of more than 400 semi-trucks idling in his neighborhood around the clock, producing emissions year-round. And he says, I just would rather look out my back door and see cornfields than a data center. I like the sound of crops rustling in the wind, not the hum of cat generators making power. So he's going to go from being in a quiet rural area where they were raising food into a place where he's going to be listening to the sound of 400 semi-trucks idling in his neighborhood. Just think about just a sound noise perspective. I can't even imagine. I'm very sound sensitive, so that would really bother me. Now, I actually did a grammar request, and I got what Millard County approved for this, and it is Jewel Capital Partners. That's correct. I sent Jewel Capital Partners a couple of emails. This was back, I think, it was October maybe, asking them for more information in terms of how much water they'll use. So I said in my email to them, there are lots of news articles about how much water data centers consume. In your application, you said there will be minimal impacts, use of advanced technology to reduce water use. I did not see an estimate of actual amount of water that is projected to be used for these data centers. So in Utah, we have a water shortage. We generally have it. I mean, that's just the reality of living in a place where it's a desert, and we're dependent on snowfall in the winter, really, to get the water we need to for the human consumption. And when I say human consumption, I mean what we drink and use for ourselves, what we need for farming, and then also what we need for, I think, acceptable industrial uses. I don't know if this is one of them, though. Now, in that article, but the guy never responded back to me. So what I thought was weird about the application that they made to Millard County is that they didn't specify how much water they will actually use for the data center. Now, I think they said they were going to use a closed loop system to cool it. And so they're going to push, I guess somehow they'll push cold water. It'll absorb the heat that the computers or the servers all produce, and then it'll go back out. I don't understand how it cools back off. And then they'll just keep doing that somehow to keep it cool. But what I worry about is how did a county approve this without specific numbers on how much water it will use? And then also, we should be looking at how much water will it use compared to how many jobs it will actually create, like permanent jobs. Now, in this case, the state's main electricity provider, and I'm going back to the Salt Lake Tribune article, Rocky Mountain Power, doesn't have the capacity to meet the surge in energy demand. Data center developers have instead turned to generating their own electricity, mostly using natural gas. Now, the Tribune's concern is green energy, the green energy grift. So for the Tribune, if you went and set up solar panels everywhere and windmills and ruined the, filled up all the farmland with solar panels and windmills to kill all the birds, the Tribune would be satisfied. That doesn't work for me, but I'm not interested in that. And then they say Spencer Cox has zeroed in on nuclear as a clean energy solution as part of his Operation Gigawatt. Then they say that collision of the AI boom and limited power supplies means Utah's rush to build data centers is likely to rely on fossil fuel energy for the foreseeable future, raising concerns about the state's already struggling air quality. Now, that is an issue that people talk about, so something to think about. Alternative sources won't match the demand the centers generate. These suck up massive amounts of energy, so you are not going to be able to power them with solar panels and windmills. It says potentially alternative sources won't match the demand the centers generate, potentially as much as 4 times what Utah residents and businesses currently consume. Small nuclear plants are at least a decade away, while the Trump administration has curtailed many incentives for solar and wind. Well, if they're using 4 times as much power, or they're expected to, as what we currently consume, you can't do that with solar and wind. The problem a lot of times with these newspapers is they don't have people that are logical or think normally. They're kind of lefties who all think you can, I guess, like power the world with solar and wind, which doesn't even make any sense. Now, I wanted to also talk. So basically, there are some issues here. Number one, what you're finding across the country is rural areas don't actually want the data centers. They're being forced on them by their counties or their local governments. Also, what you're finding is they're not divulging the information you need to be able to really evaluate the proposals. So if you're going to bring a data center in Utah, I think one of the key pieces of information we want is how much water are you going to use, right? We don't have enough water. Is this worth it? The second one is how much electricity are you going to use? Are you going to put a huge demand onto our electricity grid so that it drives the cost of electricity up for regular Utahns? People are complaining about cost of living issues. And I mean, as I'll say, it's kind of weird because people didn't complain when we had hyperinflation under Biden. And that was kind of something maybe you could have spoken up about. However, and I think inflation's gotten better, but why would I want to bring in these energy sucking data centers so that they drive up the cost of my electricity? So Nate Bluin actually proposed a bill he proposed a couple of bills about data centers. Now, one, I don't know if this is dead yet. We'll see. It's in the Senate Rules Committee. And I think the problem is that he's such a left-wing lunatic that no one will work with him. But this bill, I actually think is a good idea. He says here, the bill prohibits certain non-disclosure agreements between prospective data centers and state and local governments. And I'll just be honest with you, I don't think that there should be these NDAs between companies and governments when they're trying to get special benefits. That's not an NDA That's not an NDA appropriate situation. It's one thing if a company needs to protect its proprietary information, its IP and things like that, that's different. But if what they're trying to do is to go to the town and be like, okay, we're going to give you this and this and this in exchange for these incentives from you, that should all be public. And so I actually think this bill seems like a good bill to me. And I'll be honest, I didn't read it in detail, but I do like the idea behind this one. Now, in addition to that, he proposed another bill, and this one's kind of interesting. Now, I know this one died because people were mocking him online. But I want to say again, I actually think he was on the right track with this bill. It's not quite there because he is a lefty. But I like this part where there's more disclosure. That's what the bill would have required. It would have required them to say how much power they'll use. And also, I think I read down more into the bill. It had a thing where it has to talk about how much water it will use. We need that kind of disclosure, but we actually want that when it comes to power these data centers. Now, what I thought was kind of interesting is that I was reading about a bill in Oklahoma, and this one got killed, but let me just share this with you because I actually think something like this is where Nate should actually go with what he's trying to propose, or maybe a Republican should do it because, like I said, they don't like Nate. And now this bill, it was proposed by a Republican in the Oklahoma State House. It would have banned taxpayer subsidies to data centers. It would have required that they not have an impact on rates paid by customers, electricity rates. It would have required them to have a water impact assessment statement. So again, like we need that here. And probably, to be honest with you, we need that for all industries that are coming in so that we can have an assessment about, you need this much water and you're going to create this many jobs. Is this use worth it for us, considering that we are a desert state? And then noise ordinances, they would have to follow local noise ordinances. I don't know if that example from Millard County actually follows the local noise ordinances, because I don't understand how an area that is completely rural is allowing a facility that will create that much noise to be built in the county, right? And critically, it requires a decommissioning plan. And I think that's a big issue here, specifically because these are filled with computers and servers that will, they'll have to be cycled out. And I assume that they won't actually be useful and valuable for as long as people think, right? These things constantly are getting upgraded. And so the companies will have to produce or replace the computer. So like what happens? Well, like how long will the facility be active? And then what do you do when the computers are old and you have to replace them? Are they just going to go into our dumps? Okay, well, how do we handle that? Especially in Millard County, if you're going to have 6 of these buildings filled with servers, what happens when those have to be thrown away? How do you deal with any toxic materials that are in them? These are things that we need to think about when you're approving it. And then finally, this bill in Oklahoma also allowed for a citizens initiative. It's an understanding that a lot of times what's happening is these companies are coming in, they're donating to the elected officials, and they're able to get these things approved. So this bill would allow local people in whichever municipality or government approved it, if they could get 25% of the signatures of the people in that municipality, then they could get it on the ballot and they could vote on it. So I actually liked this bill. I thought it was really good. But remember earlier I was talking about how I think Republicans are missing the ball on this? Well, in this case, 1 Republican and 2 Democrats voted for the bill in the committee, and there were only 2 Democrats on the committee. And all the other Republicans rejected it, and so it actually died in committee. And this is what I mean. Republicans are completely missing the boat on this. The guy who proposed it is a Republican, and so he's understanding the issue, I think. But generally, because of the push from the Trump administration, Republicans are on the side of building these things everywhere. Like, and they just want to I don't even understand this. They want to override local zoning laws. They want to override local noise ordinance laws. They want to make it so that they can put these things everywhere, anywhere and everywhere. under the guise of this will create this huge economic boom. I'm just not seeing it. I don't understand. And I don't understand why, if it's valuable, does the government have to push it so hard? If that makes sense, right? If it's so valuable, if it's going to make so much money, the companies don't need any incentives. They don't need help from the government to override local concerns. Locals would want this type of stuff built, but I think they actually, it's actually not that valuable. What they're putting out is not going to be as valuable as we think. And I don't think they're making any money. That's the other piece. They're spending tons and tons of money building these things all over the country, but I'm not really sure that they have any value right now. Mr. Producer says a data center is like painting the Golden Gate Bridge. As soon as you fill the server racks, you'll have to go back and start putting in new servers at the other end. Every 18 to 24 months, the server has to be replaced. So there you go. So you've got to be able to have a plan for disposing of all of those servers. Millard County does not strike me as a place that is dealing with a lot of, servers being thrown out. So how is that community going to deal with the number of servers that will have to be tossed from these new facilities? I think we need to start asking these questions. All I want to say is I think Nate Bluin was on the right track with his bill. His stuff, though, always gets caught up in this green grift. He thinks that he's never had a job and he's never really been a productive member of society. So I don't think he has the logical thinking skills that come along with that and the common sense. So, you got to deal with that. But he was on the right track. That was the whole point. And, if he wants to cover all the land with solar panels, I don't want to do that. But I definitely want more information about these data centers so that if someone tries to propose one near me, I can go and I can oppose it. Because I can tell you right now, there's no data center I want being placed anywhere near me. And frankly, I would prefer that we not put these in Utah at all. I don't think they actually bring a lot of value. Economically, they don't bring value. Jobs-wise, they don't bring value. And then also water-wise, I don't think it's a good use of water. I have that last. Oh, okay, yeah, Mr. Producer, let's play it. Okay, well, that's my point about data centers. Let's go back to our Salt Lake County Central Committee meeting video so we can finish that up and you can hear the last portion of it before we take off until next Monday.
It's the Robert's Rules of Order.
Listen, point on that, hold on, please. Point on that, we would love nothing more than to announce a meeting date today, but we need to find a venue large enough to accommodate us, and we'll do that for this weekend.
Point of
First
clarification.
meeting, Monday, yes.
This emergency meeting will be before caucus, correct?
I can't promise that right now. We gotta find out where there's availability.
So according to our bylaws, we must meet quarterly.
Correct.
And if this does not count as a meeting, then to schedule a meeting quarterly, this quarter.
That's correct.
Thank you.
Okay. There'll be order, please. Thank you, sir.
All right, that's good. I mean, see, I will say, I think a lot of times culturally, Utahns, they feel uncomfortable with like that guy yelling. I just find this stuff entertaining. It's endless entertainment. It's politics. That's how it works. People are passionate. Some people, they scream and they yell. Other people are more quiet. It's fun. But I just want to make one point. Now, Sarah Montez did bring up, we're required to have this quarterly meeting that is properly noticed. This one doesn't count, so we need to have another one. I think, though, the quarter would end March 31st, so they could technically have it after caucus. My guess is, though, that the people that were removed probably want this to happen before caucus, so that if the Central Committee, the County Central Committee votes to reverse the Executive Committee, assuming that's possible, that they can go and they can continue to participate in the party as they have in the past. So I will have more on that, I'm sure. And we will hear more about where this is going, whether they have the minimum number of precinct chairs who have responded to them in order to be able to call the meeting. They remember they needed 10% of the total. I actually know whether they have them, but we'll see. We'll let them announce whether they have them or not. And I think it'll be really interesting to see where this all goes. Because I, you know, like I said, I have real issues with the coming down on whistleblowers. And my concern again is that we have a lot of corruption and criminality in this state. And if anything, we need more whistleblowers. We need way more to come forward and start telling us what is going on in these government agencies and how can we stop it? How can we prevent this from happening? That won't happen if we're discouraging people from coming forward and talking. So I will just say, if it does come up, I will vote to restore them. You know, and again, for the reasons I just said, I just think we need more whistleblowers, not fewer. Okay, we're at 7 o'clock. It has been a pleasure. This is the Goud Crowd. I'm your host, Goud. We are on every Monday from 5 to 7 on, let's see, Mr. Producer, you didn't do my little thing. We're on my X handle at Goud #4 Utah. We're also at Main Street Media Utah's X handle, YouTube and Rumble, and kmmu.org. In the meantime, you find me most active on X. It's Goud #4 Utah. If you have any tips, anything you want me to talk about, feel free to message me. Okay, we will see you next week. Thanks a lot, guys.